think of Thailand. For decades, it's been this global symbol of paradise, right? A tourism powerhouse that fuels a huge chunk of its economy. But that engine? Well, it's starting to sputter. And the paradise it's built on is facing a really critical moment. Okay, let's dive right in.
So, to really get the stakes here, we need to zoom out for just a second. All around the world, the tourism industry is responsible for 1 out of every 10 jobs. That is a massive, massive force in the global economy. And for a country like Thailand, it's not just a force, it's pretty much a lifeline. And that really gets us to the heart of the matter for Thailand. You see, the incredible economic benefits that have lifted millions of people have come at a steep and often hidden price. This is the central conflict, the puzzle, we're going to unpack in this explainer.
So how did Thailand become this absolute global giant in the first place? Let's take a look at the almost unbelievably rapid rise of its tourism machine and the incredible economic engine it created.
I mean, the speed of this growth is just wild. Yeah, the groundwork was laid back in the 60s, but the real explosion, that happened after the 97 financial crisis. The industry just rocketed, growing over 22% in just a few years. By the 2010s, Thailand wasn't just another popular destination. It was a permanent fixture in the global top 10.
But, that kind of explosive growth almost never comes for free, right? So now we're going to dig into the darker side of all this success, the real environmental and cultural price of becoming everybody's favorite paradise.
And this quote from our source material really just hits the nail on the head. Beautiful beaches, fascinating culture, super friendly people. It is the perfect recipe for a dream vacation. This is the image that pulls in millions of people year after year. But what happens when all those millions of people want the exact same dream?
This is the core paradox, laid out right here. On one side of the coin, you have these massive contributions to the country's GDP. You have jobs, you have foreign money pouring in. But on the other side, the very things that attract tourists, that beautiful natural environment, those ancient heritage sites, are literally being worn down, sometimes deformed beyond repair, just by the sheer number of visitors.
For years, this balancing act, as tricky as it was, kind of just kept going. But then, pretty recently, a series of global shockwaves came along and just shattered the old model, forcing Thailand, and really the whole world, to a critical decision point. The way things were, well, that's just not an option anymore.
The first and, let's be honest, the most obvious shockwave was the COVID-19 pandemic. It didn't just slow down travel. No, it brought the entire global tourism industry to a dead stop. And in doing so, it exposed just how incredibly vulnerable the whole system was.
I mean, just look at these numbers. Between January 2019 and January 2021, the money coming in from international tourists just plummeted by 90%. That's a $52 billion hole blown into the economy. This wasn't just a downturn. It was an economic catastrophe that really triggered an identity crisis, showing just how dangerously dependent the country had become on one single fragile industry.
At the exact same time, another revolution was picking up speed in the background. Technology is completely changing how we travel, everything from how we book a trip to how we actually experience a place once we're there. And this digital shift, it brings both huge opportunities and some pretty new dangers.
So this creates a real dilemma, On one hand, yeah, digital tools can make everything more efficient. But on the other, there's this real fear that everybody ends up just following the same perfect Instagram itinerary. You get these massive crowds at a few select spots, while unique local businesses get completely ignored, and the destination starts to lose its authentic character.
And the third major trend is the one that affects every single one of us, the climate crisis. There's this growing awareness of the environmental costs of travel, and the industry's absolutely massive carbon footprint is coming under some really intense scrutiny.
And check this out. This is a startlingly specific number from the research. On average, the transportation for just one tourist's trip emits 88.8 kilograms of CO2. Now, when you multiply that by millions and millions of visitors, well, you start to see the staggering environmental price tag of mass tourism.
Okay, so with all these challenges laid bare, you've got economic vulnerability, digital disruption, and a climate crisis. The question becomes, what now? And this brings us to the path forward, a complete reimagining of what tourism could and probably should look like by the year 2030.
The big idea, the guiding principle for this new vision is sustainable tourism.
Now, this term gets thrown around a lot, but this isn't just about planting a few trees or recycling your hotel towels. As you can see from the definition, it's a whole approach, a really careful balancing act between economic needs, social well-being, and protecting the environment. It's about building for the long term, not just for the next tourist season.
So how do you actually get there? Well, the strategy pretty much rests on 4 key pillars. First, the government and private businesses have to work together. This can't be a solo mission. Second, the focus has to shift from just being stable to being truly resilient. Having the ability to absorb shocks, like a pandemic. Third, and this one is absolutely critical, is deep community involvement. Local people have to have a real seat at the table. And finally, building smart, sustainable infrastructure that actually helps both visitors and the people who live there.
And this is where the rubber really meets the road. This slide shows what that actually looks like in practice. We're talking about really concrete goals, going after new markets like China, India, reforming visa policies to make travel a bit easier, and maybe most importantly, shifting Thailand's brand image, moving beyond just beaches and sandals to really showcase its deep cultural heritage. It's all about quality over quantity.
And so we end here with the big question. Can a place be both a paradise and a profitable business? Can it welcome the entire world without losing its soul? Thailand's journey to answer this question isn't just about one country. It's a test case, and the answer could very well define the future of travel for all of us.